The heads of NPR and PBS testified before Congress this week amid accusations of liberal bias. Should the government continue to send taxpayer dollars to public broadcasters? Well, a little background here. I mean, they've been after them the Republicans have wanted to get rid of PBS for as long as I can remember. This crowd will probably do it. I mean, I also read my namesake, Catherine Maher, was head of NPR, and, you know, she said, we're completely unbiased. Give me a break, lady. I mean, they're crazy far left.
That's part-time comedian and full-time liberal broken clock Bill Maher shocking his audience by saying what everyone with two brain cells has known for decades about NPR and PBS being politically biased wings of the Democrat Party. Welcome to Nerk News, I'm Nerkish, and it looks like that after years of serving as state-run propaganda for liberals, the tax-funded gravy train might be coming to an end for the sanctimonious elites in public broadcasting, which honestly might be a blessing in disguise for the left, whose massive unpopularity stems from the inauthentic and feminine personality types synonymous with NPR and PBS liberals. Here's Bill Maher mocking the left's pathetic attempts at pretending these outlets are unbiased.
So, I mean, I think we're past the age, really, where the government, first of all, why do we need to subsidize? Why can't we have outlets like this? And we're so polarized. These outlets became popular at a time when Republicans and Democrats didn't hate each other and weren't at each other's throats and didn't think each other was an existential threat. In that world, you can't have places like this, I think, anymore. They have to be private.
Yeah, I think Yuri Berliner, ex-NPR employer, his piece this week, where he said that they should just let go of the funding. I love NPR. I listen to NPR almost every day, have since 1975, when my parents used to play it in our Chevrolet Caprice when I was like 9 years old. I love it for its point of view, but since 2020, it has no longer been general. I remember in 2021, my then 9-year-old asked me, and of course she has no sense of context, I don't pump her full of things like this. She said from the back seat in a very different car, she said, "Daddy, why is it that NPR is always playing the same thing?" And I said, "What do you mean the same thing?" And I swear she said, now she doesn't have a vocabulary, but she said, it's always about how somebody can't do something. And that what she was getting at was that. I wouldn't have said that about the NPR that I knew back in the day, and I wouldn't have said it 10 years ago, but that is what it is now. I will listen to it daily, but it's no longer a general audience venue. They should just give up national funding. Yeah.
You know, it's really telling that even a child can identify not only the bias in reporting at NPR, but the broader victim narrative the left uses to manipulate people into supporting them. I mean, the whole movement is designed to make voters feel helpless so that they look towards politicians to fix things and effectively turn the government into an inefficient nanny state. So it's no wonder Democrats were celebrating their base legitimately calling Harris and Walz mommy and daddy last election. Here's Maher talking about the importance of the NPR insider leaking their bias and admitting that Republicans might not have been so crazy about judging them after all.
There's not a big effort on the left to understand what they are talking about, because I don't think it's insincere on their part. I think they think we're going to hell in a handcart. And one reason I think that is because the story that came out this week about NPR. NPR is to them what this country would be if it was a permanent Democratic governorship. And if you missed the story on NPR, it's pretty interesting. A guy named Yuri Berliner came out. He wrote it. He'd been there for a long time, 25 years. This guy, by the way, went to Sarah Lawrence and was raised by a lesbian peace activist. So he's
very, very Sean Hannity.
Very Sean Hannity. He said, "I've been at NPR for 25 years. Here's how we lost America's trust." And it's just about how this place, which, you know, the big show was called All Things Considered. It's not all things considered. He's not wrong. And he pointed out, for example, that of the 87 people working in editorial positions there, 87 are Democrats. Even if you're a Democrat, you can't think this is good.
The funny thing about all of this is that the CEO Maher is talking about is so far left that she thinks he's part of the alt-right. I mean, in 2018, she legitimately called him a racist bigot in a Twitter thread bashing him for not being liberal enough. And here she is trying to deny what Maher was just talking about to Congress William Timmons and following it up with her views on objective journalism.
You're a rabid progressive. And do you not think it's a problem that your political leanings make it seem to the American people that you're not biased and that you're not doing your job? Because you agree that your job is to have journalistic integrity, right?
Absolutely, but there is a strong firewall between the newsroom and anything that I
Let's
do.
talk about the newsroom. You have 87 registered Democrats, not a single Republican in your editor board. So, I mean, how does that work to give us the perception that you're doing your job of actually delivering unbiased information?
Well, I would agree with you that that number is a concern if it is accurate. I do believe that we need to have journalists who represent the full breadth of the American society so that we can report well for all Americans.
Well, I think that you are failing. I realize you've only been there for a year, but I just really think that while it is a small portion of your budget, you very much should expect to restructure your revenue streams, because I don't think that NPR is necessarily worth saving.
But one of the most significant differences, critical for moving from polarization to productivity, is that the Wikipedians who write these articles aren't actually focused on finding the truth. They're working for something that's a little bit more attainable, which is the best of what we can know right now. And after 7 years there, I actually believe that they're onto something. That for our most tricky disagreements, seeking the truth and seeking to convince others of the truth isn't necessarily the best place to start. In fact, I think our reverence for the truth might have become a bit of a distraction that is preventing us from finding consensus and getting important things done.
It's hilarious to watch establishment media types and Democrats try to defend this with sad stories about canceling kids programming on PBS or all of the heartfelt slice of life stories on NPR. But the only reason that tactic might carry some water with people is that no one watches or listens to those outlets enough to understand just how far left they've gone, which is saying something because they weren't beacons of objectivity to begin with. I mean, they both dismissed the Hunter laptop story in 2020, have regularly featured segments expressing strong anti-Trump and anti-conservative sentiments, and smother their programming in progressive and alphabet crap, including many of their children's shows. So at the end of the day, the notion that either of those outlets don't present a bias is absolutely hilarious. But let me know what you think. How do you feel about defunding public broadcasting? Is there any reason they should still be receiving our tax dollars? Let me know in the comments, and if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel. That stuff really does help us out. Until then, this has been Nerk News. Thanks for watching. Bye.